Hey, here, give me a second. I am trying to, huh, my other camera's not working. Oh, that's okay. We'll get there. How's it going, everybody? Trying to think, is it up that one? No, it's this one. Huh, okay. Do. How's everybody doing? Let's see here. I wonder if I'm able to do this. Thanks for being patient. Hi, how's it going, Carolyn? Where are you streaming from? Yeah, let's see if we can do that. There you go. It's been a long day. I'm just gonna put my hair up like this. Oh, good. North Carolina, no snow. You know what? There's no snow here. Well, there were snow flurries, but that was just about it. Just some snow flurries. It's good. Well, you know what? My webcam isn't working, but just my regular camera on my computer seems to be working just fine. So we're just going to roll with that. That's totally fine. So it's good. Hello, Susan from Singapore. Oh, hi, Ronnie. How's it going? Very good to see you all. I'm going to see if this works a little bit. Okay. Maybe, kind of, sort of. It's more like at a downward angle. Yeah, thanks for rolling with this. I'm a little late to the party right now because I had some kids that refused to go to bed. I know, it's like when it's bedtime, like, I don't want to go to bed. I'm not tired. You know what? It happens. And that's real life. Yes, no matter how early I try to start bedtime. Yeah, but they're like cute. They're cute when it comes to bedtime. All right. Like, they're very sweet and they're very fun. It's just they don't want to go to bed. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to turn down this light. There you go. Ooh. How's that? Yeah, it's a little softer. I was like, oh, ring light was really, really big. All right, we got Ronnie. We got Donna. How's it going from Southern California? All right. Weather Geek says, sing your lowest note. Are you sure you want to hear that? Let me say, ah. So, ah. It's also at the end of the day too for me, and so my voice is pretty much shot. I've been singing all day, but that's about as low as I can go for now. Let's see. Just started watching your channel. I got a banjo lily. That is so awesome. Hi, Jenny. Where are you streaming from? So glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you watched the channel, and I'm just thrilled that it's helping you. Yay! Wonderful. Oh, hey, thanks, Susan. Thanks for being here. So this is going to be a musical Q&A, and we're just going to be talking about just some musical questions that you may have. And yeah, so right now I'm just going to go to see if I have any questions. I have some questions that people had basically asked me beforehand. And let's see here. One question, the first question I'm going to start with is, oh, hey, Alabama. Nice. Nice. Thank you for being here. The first question is on song memorization. And when they're trying to actually memorize a song specifically for a gig or for an upcoming performance. And my number one piece of advice is that when trying to memorize a song, people have a tendency to overwhelm themselves. They go too hard, too fast, too soon, too much. And people usually employ the drill and kill method. And if you've heard of like drill it and kill it, if you've ever heard that before. And that basically means that you are going to just start from the top of your piece or your song, and then you're going to keep playing, and keep playing. And then once you hit a spot that you are not confident in playing, you actually go back to the top, and then you keep playing, and then you hit that spot again. And then you go back to the top, and then you keep going, keep going, keep going. And usually people, they end up practicing their mistakes. And it's incredibly frustrating because you feel like, well, why can't I get past? I'm practicing so much. Why can't I get past that one spot? It's because it's not about what you're practicing. It has to do with how you're practicing. And it has nothing to do with how much you're practicing, because you're practicing a lot, but it just, you have to think about it differently. And so break things into small and manageable chunks when memorizing a song. And I recently did this with a set that I had to memorize. It was an hour set, and instead of trying to memorize my entire set or just run through the set and hopefully memorized it, I started off very, very small, and I started with the first chorus of the first song after I gathered all of my songs together for the hour set. That was it. And I didn't move on until I had that chorus down. That was it. And the next day, I felt really confident about it. I added one verse beforehand. And once I felt comfortable with that, then I had the verse and the chorus, and I added that together. And then I added verse, chorus, and another verse. You see what I'm saying? Is that I started off very, very small into some manageable parts. Now, let's say that you do hit a part of a piece or a song that is rather difficult. Instead of trying to practice everything from the very beginning and then get to the point of, man, you hit that spot that's troublesome, and then you keep going back to the beginning, and then you go back to, and then you keep playing until you hit that troublesome spot. Start with the hard part, the part that keeps tripping you up. Start with that. And then just instead of thinking that entire part, like let's say you're having a hard time with some chorus chords, don't try to play the entire chorus. Pinpoint what is difficult about the chorus. Is the chord transition? Is there a riff in there? Is it singing and playing at the same time? Maybe you need to take a step back and just work on the chord changes first, and then start humming the melody of the chorus on top of that. And then once you feel confident with that, then try adding the lyrics, because most of the time I find it's with my students, they're just doing too much too soon. So with memorizing a song, that method that I call that the chunking method. And it really helps me a lot because I do suffer from overwhelm when it comes to trying to take on too much, too fast, too soon. I have to take a deep breath, and I have to break things into manageable chunks. Yeah. So, all right. Let's see here. So we have another a question about string buzzing. I actually have a video coming out on string buzzing, and string buzzing can be very, very interesting because there can be a number of culprits. With let me see here. So when it comes to string buzzing, there's a number of things that can be happening. It could be that you're not chording or fretting properly. And what happens is that your fingers may be too far away from the fret. You see I'm having a D chord. If you play the ukulele, this is your G chord on your ukulele. A lot of people, they are actually fretting incorrectly. And so then you see this, how far away my fingers are from the frets. If I scooch up a little bit more, you're actually going to work a lot less than if you were back here. So if I have, hear that? Like that. And if I'm going to apply the same amount of pressure, but I'm going to slide over. Hear that? Eventually it got a lot clearer. Hear that? Another thing too is something that I was sitting in on a an ukulele clinic with Craig Chi, and he described it this way: piano fingers versus violin fingers. And piano fingers are usually straight up and down. You think piano straight up and down, like this. And violin fingers are more so at an angle. So how does that apply to a stringed instrument? Well, especially with frets. Piano fingers are straight up and down. See that? And what happens is that usually another finger or the pad of a finger has a tendency to bump or muffle another string, like that. Hear that? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to bring my elbow up just a little bit so that my wrist pivots. So instead of straight up and down, it's this way: piano fingers, violin fingers, piano fingers, violin fingers. It allows your fingers to just be out of the way so that you're able to have each finger just basically be in charge of its own string, so to speak, instead of getting in the way like that. Plus, it's just easier. I find it a lot easier because if you have a piano fingers like this, you see how my thumb is behind? And I've heard different philosophies of thought that your thumb should be behind or your thumb should always be on top. For me, I find that when I have, and this is for the ukulele as well, when I have my hand, boom, hugging that neck. Do you see that? Ta-da! It's boom here. And then you can bring it out a little bit for some balance, but it's here when you get that really nice clamp. There, it's going to be a lot easier. String buzzing. A string buzzing can also come from if you're strumming too hard and too aggressive. You've heard B, aggressive, B, E, aggressive. Sometimes you can be too aggressive. Then you get like this really, really, really like this really weird sound, and it's like it doesn't really work. So it's you kind of have to find that sweet spot with strumming, making sure that you're giving enough pressure to brush across the strings, and then also just not too much where you're bending the strings out of tune, or you're just how should I put this? You're exerting too much effort on the strings, and that can just sound distorted. And then another thing with your instrument too that I found that with string buzzing, it may not always be you. It could be that your instrument has not had the proper TLC that it needs. Like, for example, I've had students come in with instruments that they found in their parents' or grandparents' basement, and it has not been maintained for 20 years. And it's just been, subject to whatever conditions of humidity or moisture. The neck could be twisted and warped, or your strings are just too old. They're rusted out if you have steel strings. The truss rod hasn't been adjusted, and so you're actually having to push so hard on exerting on the strings that you're actually working so hard that it's really not you, it's maybe the neck of your instrument. Yeah, and how do you know that? You gotta take it into a luthier, you gotta take it into a tech, and they'll tell you if the neck is twisted. And it's always good to get, just get a good checkup, like your bodies need a checkup from the doctor, so do your instruments as well, because it just needs to be, maintained well. So, yeah, it could be you, it could be the instrument, but the only way to tell is you can bring it in. So I hope that answers some of your questions. Hi, Dimi! How's it going? Oh, yay, so happy to see you. Hey, Jason. Oh, thank you so much for being here. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm glad that the lessons are helping you. Like, yes, Ashley from Wisconsin. Yes. Cheesehead, cheesehead. That's right. Jacob Coronado. Question: should I change guitar strings on a guitar every January and every February? I think what you're asking is like, should it be every month? It really depends upon. I generally the rule is you should be changing your strings every 6 months. And it also depends upon how much you play. I know that there's a friend of mine who is a professional ukulele player, and he plays all the time, and he changes his strings every few weeks because he plays that much. And so you will know when your strings, 1, they don't maintain their tuning, 2, they sound a little dull, 3, especially on the guitar, they're rusted out. Like if you have rusted strings, time to change them. Yes, definitely. Because a new set of strings is going to bring just like breathe new life into your instrument, really is. It's going to be so much easier to play. So I hope that that helps. Let's see here. Yay! Great cheer. Thanks. Yeah, less is more, right? Yeah, that's right, Demi. Andre! Oh, nothing better than live. Hey, thanks for being here. I'm wondering if it's possible that my strings on my Lanakai are too low. It is possible because string buzzing can also occur when the action is too low as well. And the action is the distance between the strings and the fretboard and in your frets. It could be that it could have been a shift in humidity, and there's a tug of war that happens between the strings and your neck, right? So if the strings are winning, the strings lift off of the fretboard and then it becomes difficult to push down. And if the neck is winning, then the strings are, the neck bows this way. And so then therefore the strings are really close to the fretboard, and then it may cause some buzzing, so to speak. But if you take it in, you'll be able to tell. Or maybe you just need new strings. I think that's the number one thing. Is like, okay, does it need new strings? That could be something that could work. Yeah. Um. Can you teach me "Don't Stop Praying" by Matthew West? Well, I'm not going to be teaching any songs right now. I'm just doing a Q&A. But yeah, that's really I do love Matthew West. I have small, short fingers, and I have problem with bar chords with the guitar. Can I overcome this? Absolutely, you can. Absolutely. And the reason why I say that you can, it's because I am petite. I am short. My fingers are short, and I'm a small human being. People, I know that the camera. There's actually a camera trick that you do when you're editing video. Is that you make sure that your head is to the top of the frame, and it makes you fill it out more. It makes you look bigger on camera. But I've had a number of people when they meet me in person, they're like, "Oh my goodness, you are tiny." And I am. And I used to think because I was small, and I did have difficulty with bar chords at first. I really did. I struggled. It was all aboard the struggle bus. Every single time I tried one, and I get really frustrated, and I thought like, well, I'm just too small. I'm always going to struggle with this. But I thought, you know what? I saw somebody else that also, she was more petite than I was, and she was playing bar chords. And I thought, you know what? If she can do it, so can I. And it comes with just keep a positive attitude, and don't focus on perfection. Focus on your progress. For me, it took me about a year for my first bar chord to sound okay. And I mean, it was just okay. Uh, but little by little, it got better. And I would say after a while, it really did get better, but I just kept playing through it. So that's the number one thing, is focus on your progress and not perfection. Another way thing, another thing that I wish that I had learned beforehand, especially for me, is the counterweight. I've spoken about this before too, is that your arm is resting on top of the guitar, right? So if I pull my elbow toward my body and I press the body of the guitar into my body, to see how my neck wants to swing forward like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to use my bicep to bring it back this way. So it's going to be a combination of squeezing with your fingers, but using your bicep too, to use that as a counterweight. And you will feel the strings press into your fingers, and it's going to take a lot of the pressure off of your little muscles and more so place them on the bigger muscles. That's another thing too. Another thing with bar chords is that bar chords are not really fully bar chords. You're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm going to use the B minor bar chord. Actually, how should I do this? I'm going to use Yeah, actually B minor. B minor is probably a big one. F sharp minor too. The first two entrant bar chords, I would say, for the guitar. And think about building your bar chord one string at a time. So with F sharp, I'm going to place my tip of my index finger on the second fret right here, and I'm going to just apply just enough pressure until I get a clear sound. So see here, it's muffled. I'm going to apply some pressure, and once it starts to sound, you have to send a signal to your brain, to your hand, saying, hey, guess what? That is the amount of pressure that I need. Okay? Because people have a tendency to push too hard, including yours truly, including your girl right here. All right, so there's one. Now take your ring finger and you're going to place that on the fourth fret of the A string. And again, only use enough pressure to get a clear sound, and make sure that your fingers are as close to the frets as you possibly can. Now add the pinky underneath. Okay. Now let's add the middle finger. All right, I know I said F sharp minor. Let's do F sharp major. So I have middle finger right here. It's going to be on the third fret of the G string. So far, each finger is in charge of a string, right? But you're like, Katie, it's a bar chord. This portion of your finger right here at the base of the finger is going to rock back so that it covers the E and the B strings. So really, index finger is here in charge of this string, and then these two strings rocked back. I am not applying full on pressure with the entire index finger. And when you're practicing a bar chord, you may just want to just get the muscle memory. If you just want to get this in your muscle memory, move up more toward the middle of the neck, because this bar chord shape right here, and then right below it, those two bar chord shapes, those are going to be the main shapes that you will use for bar chords anyway on the guitar. Yeah. And then the reason why I say, hey, try the middle of the guitar just to get the muscle memory down, it's because the greatest amount of tension on your guitar is going to be, and your ukulele, it's going to be here at the nut and here at the saddle. Like if you try to strum here, it feels really stiff. Here, more so of a sweet spot. Same right here. That's why the F bar chord is like the bane of people's existence right away when they first start. It's because there's so much tension. It's right next to the nut. And so then when I'm working with my students, just to introduce them to bar chords and just get used to the muscle memory first before we move down here, start in the middle of your guitar. Another thing too is that roll your finger onto its side. And so instead of straight up and down, like I said, piano fingers versus violin fingers, all right, instead of here, think here. I'm going to do that again. Here, here. Yeah, so my elbow's just a little bit closer to my body, but do you see how my wrist position changed completely? Yeah, it's going to be some subtle things that you're going to try out to see what works for you. Okay. And the push-pull motion definitely helps a lot, but also building your bar chord one finger at a time, even with the B minor as well. I think that's a good one to give a try to. And then when you're strumming and playing the B minor chord, it's okay if it sounds a little wonky in between, just as long as you're getting there, because you're still building up that muscle memory to get to that B minor. Try not to hold yourself accountable to perfection. Like, for example, if it's like this and it doesn't sound great, yeah. And so like you hear like that B minor didn't sound that great. No, the G bar chord didn't sound that great either, but I kept going. Right? You also may want to do is that if you have a tricky bar chord change between one chord and another in a song, forget about the song. Only practice the transition between two chords, your D and your B minor. Oh, I have balloons. Hey, sweet. Hi. I don't know where this came from. But let's say you have, and then make that a mini warm up because then now you're practicing it within a context. Oh, without context, I should say. And then you're building yourself a warm up and just taking the pressure off of yourself to try to get to other chords within a song, right? So if I have a D to a B minor and I notice like, man, my D to B minor just sounds gnarly. What do I do? Okay, how about play D for 8 counts and then switch between a B minor for 8 counts, but leave space in between. So we have D, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 2, 3, 4, and a 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Back to D. And all right, so there were 4 counts in between each, and then eventually take out those spaces, but keep strumming. So let's say I'm taking out the spaces in between the D and the B minor. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. But let's say my D to B minor transition is not that great. All right, why don't you listen? Okay, did you hear some waka chickas in between? The trick is that I didn't stop in between the chords. It's okay to stop every once in a while, but if you do that every time, you're training yourself to stop versus keeping that strumming hand going. Eventually, the muscle memory will keep up, will catch up, but make sure you do the groundwork first of one finger at a time, and then trying to get a clear sound, and then practice between 2 chords within your chord progression, one being the open chord, one being the bar chord, right? I have more balloons. And yeah, so, and then eventually taking out that space and try to strum through it. But you see, there's a process with it, and it's not just one thing. You may have to troubleshoot through some more. And I do have a video on troubleshooting through some bar chords on the guitar. See if I can find it and drop it in the chat. But I hope that helped. I know it's a little bit long, but you can also do that for the ukulele as well. It's not just guitar. It's just for any instrument that has a bar chord. But I understand your pain. Totally have been there. Totally have fought through it as a petite person. You can do it. I believe in you. You can do it. So, yeah. Let's see here. Tips for how to keep chords straight for the ukulele, dulcimer, baritone, and guitar. You know, baritone ukulele has the same 4 strings, but how do you keep them straight when switching instruments? Tips. I would say take things little by little. It's really easy to bounce from one instrument to the next because it's exciting. But I know for me, I have a tendency to overwhelm myself because I get so excited. I'm like, oh, let's do everything. And then I have to think about, okay, you know what? I'm going to give myself some grace, especially when it comes to learning something new and trying to retain the information that I've learned. So I would say that if you're switching between the guitar and baritone, I think that would be 2 great instruments to be able um, to try first because they're so similar and also similar in shape. So being able to memorize those chords within your muscle memory, I think would be good. And then add on the ukulele because then at least it comes full circle. Right? But it's very normal. I've had students where they switched every other week between uke and guitar, and then they're playing their D chord and they call it a G when they're playing their guitar. It's very, very normal. But I would say start with 2, and then don't be afraid of how should I put this? Don't be afraid of losing the muscle memory in the other instrument. as long as you have a good foundation in one and then build off of that, start with that, and then it'll become bigger. So, I mean, become bigger and then expand from there, and then you'll be able to retain the information. So hopefully that helps, just taking things step by step and allowing yourself to be okay with just practicing between two instruments first. So, okay, do you have to change nylon strings less often than steel strings? To me, the nylon still sound like new after a year. I think it depends upon how often you play and actually what kind of strings you have. It depends upon the make, the brand, what it's made out of, and how often you play. If you do notice that your strings sound dull, they're not maintaining their tuning, things just sound off. Like maybe on the lower part of the fretboard, it sounds great. In the upper part of the fretboard, it sounds awful. It may be because you have a flat spot in your strings and they need to be changed. Could be that. All right. Yeah, so he says, I'm short and I also have short fingers. Yes. We all hear each other. I don't have a question. I think I remember just seeing your helpful videos. Oh, thanks, John. I'm so glad that they've helped. I have a soothing podcast kind of voice that's very sweet. Man, I've always wondered if I should, because people, since I started my channel, they're like, you have like a voice that just very soothing and calming, which is very nice. I'm very grateful that you would think that. I always wondered, should I start a podcast? At the same time, I'm like, I don't know what I talk about. Maybe grace-based music learning. Maybe we call it that. I don't know. I'll think about that. And then I have to think about with the time. I'm a mommy of 3. I take things slowly. I think you know that like the grace-based thing, it started with just me taking a step back and just saying like, okay, I need to show myself some grace, especially with the change of life that I have with 3 kids. Then taking things one step at a time and noticing that my progress improved. Like it just really went up and my productivity actually just went up because I started taking things slow and focusing on small things and expanding out. So yeah, maybe we could do that with the podcast. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. There's so many people out there with great podcasts already. It's like they're awesome. So good. Okay, how do you maintain your voice and deal with dry throat from singing? That's a really good one. Hydration is key, but I just learned recently from a holistic practitioner, and she's because I asked her about the same thing because it's like I have heard of people drinking so much water that it washes away the mucus or just the coating, yeah, this like the moisture away from their voice. Um, and I'm not quite sure if that's true or not, but she also said that if you eat healthy fats, like if you're not allergic to, avocados and fatty fish, salmon, things that have contain healthy fats, that can also retain the moisture in your vocal folds as well as like your joints and ligaments and things like that. So that was a really interesting tip that she gave me. And I've also heard from a choir director friend of mine. She said that she would eat an apple like maybe about an hour before her performance, and she said like the consistency of mushed up apple is the same consistency as the mucus on your vocal folds. Again, not quite sure if that's true, but it seems like that doesn't hurt to try. Yeah. And also making sure that you're hydrating not right before a performance, but making sure that you're hydrating slowly throughout the day. And not overwhelm your body in any capacity is always a good idea. And so for me, I think about don't just think about like, oh no, I have an hour before my performance. I better hydrate. I think about the day and think, okay, I better start hydrating early on and maintaining my water and not overwhelming my body. That's that's what I would that's what I would do, and just being very mindful of that. So I hope that helps. Thumbs up if you're not only made for ukulele and guitar. Hey. So, um, how did you and Grace pick up the idea for the song "Making Cookies"? Actually, I just made it. For making cookies is something we used to make cookies, a lot before she went off to, kindergarten. We would make cookies a lot, and it was just really fun, and, I just started playing on the ukulele. Just a second. I don't know if this is I sorry if you've never heard making cookies before. I just started coming up with the melody and then started chucking in between, just like, hey, I wonder what it sound like with a chuck. And then came up with the at the very beginning because it sounded like the sprinkles hitting the can against the shaker of the canister, the sprinkle container, the thingy. Chicka, 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 chicka. And I'm like, you know what? This is kind of like a sound story, so to speak. This song tells a story, and hopefully people can visualize us making cookies or visualize themselves making cookies. So yeah, that was the idea. Cool. All right. Rolling your fingers is a game changer. Yeah, I'm glad that helped, Jason. How do you manage chords that mute a string in the middle, like the third string? Grooving, strumming. How does one manage that? Okay, so think about the tips of your fingers, and then also the violin fingers versus piano fingers. So if you have, let's say it's like in the middle, if you're talking about this, violin fingers, straight up and down, piano fingers. Boom, you see how it moves it out of the way? That's a really great one. Another one too would be, let's say, what's another one? E minor. So do you see how my ring finger, it's right here? It could lay a little flat and get in the way of this one and actually mute the second string. Do you see how it's laying a little flat? You have to think tips of your fingers. And then also think about it this way. Again, grace-based music learning. Slow down. As soon as you start hearing that buzz, play each string individually and find the culprit. Usually, it's the usual suspects. What I mean by that is that you're going to find that you end up doing the same thing over and over again because it's within your muscle memory and you don't realize it. So let's say that if I'm playing a C chord on the guitar, because it's very common to mute a string on the C chord, right? So it's this one right here. Whoop. A lot of people do this. Hear that? And you hear some muted strings. So let's say we're doing that. Okay, it's this string right here and this one right here. What's going on? Trace back to your fingers. What's happening? Slowly assess. Slowly. All right. Oh, my ring finger's laying a little flat. Needs to lift up a little bit. Needs to be a little taller. The first knuckle bend, this one right here, is going to be the most important with your chords, right? Because they need to be lifted and out of the way. And then I'm like, oh, it's this one. Okay, I need to lift that one right there. Now that you've made a note of that, once you start to hear the muffled chord, don't stop strumming, because that's what we have a tendency to do. We hear a muffled chord and then we go like. Yeah, you're just training yourself to stop. So when you have that, slowly building those chords, if you hear something muffled because you trace back to what was happening, you're automatically going to think, oh, lift that ring finger just a little bit more. That first knuckle bend is going to be the most important. Now lift off your ring finger. Now lift off your index finger just a little bit. Lift it. So it goes from making those little corrections while you strum is going to gain you more progress and more ground than if you just stopped and then try to rebuild your chord, right? And so you have to actually stop and then try to troubleshoot what is happening, because usually it's the usual suspects. All right. I hope that helps. Let's see here. We said my musical trip is right now the ukulele baritone acoustic guitar. Nice. Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. So ukulele, I have no problem with bar chords. The experience is very different. Yeah, like for some people, like for the guitar, because it's a little bigger of an instrument, sometimes bar chords are like, nope, nope. And other people, they find it, rather easy on the ukulele. So yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, grace-based learning as a mom especially sounds great. Good, good. It's I've been in in front of so many teachers that um, were really encouraging and awesome. And I've also been in front of some other teachers that have been really, they have the gift of discouragement, you know? But even though that has been in my experience in front of, discouraging, or just, in certain situations, it's just taught me a lot about, like, you know what, that didn't work. And that didn't work for me. And so helps me engage with other people differently. You remind me of a friend that I met in the hospital a couple years ago. Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Any advice on uh, picking warm-ups for the guitar exercises? So I actually have some finger picking guitar videos that I have on YouTube. And if you type in guitar finger picking one music school, there's going to be a bunch that pop up that have some free exercises. But I think that the best thing to do is not to switch chords too quickly, because with finger picking, you're focusing on the finger picking pattern, right? That's going to be more important than let me see this. Sorry, my brain's a little tired. My hard drive's a little full. People have a tendency to take on too much too fast, and I've said that actually a couple of times during this live stream. You take on too much too fast too soon. And so they take on this big finger picking song and they're switching chords like every other thing, and then they get frustrated. So my advice to you is that if you have one finger picking pattern, choose either open strings to practice on it or one chord. And another piece of advice that I give people is that I noticed because when I learned with finger picking, it was not under any formula at all. I have a piano background. I was able to hear different things, and I just threw my fingers at some strings and hoped for the best. But the key was a strong chording hand. It's making sure that when I had a strong chording hand, I felt like the finger picking came a lot faster. So yeah, and I actually made a guitar course, and it's called The Stress-Free Way to Learn the Guitar. And I think the tagline that I have is learn guitar the fun, the fast, and the stress-free way. And it gives people a really good foundation in the chords. And the course is laid out in such a way where the first module, it has just only one chord songs. And each song has 3 different lessons in it. And the first lesson is very simple, where I teach you how to play the chord. The second lesson teaches you a more complicated strumming pattern, and the third has a more complicated strumming pattern. So it builds you up so you have a good foundation and you're not overwhelmed. It's step by step. Second module is 2 chord songs. Yeah, so it builds off of what you knew before. So 2 chord songs. And then the third module is 3 chord songs. Yeah. And so here, I'll link that in the chat. So if you want to check that out, but it's something that YouTube just doesn't, it can be really confusing because you're just searching for everything. And so I decided to make a guitar course as my first course. So I'm very passionate about laying things out in such a way where it doesn't become overwhelming and frustrating. And I thought that was the best way to do it. So, because with YouTube, sometimes you can get lost, especially in a series. Like at first, you're like, "Yeah, I'm totally good on it." Then you and find it yourself that you find out that you just end up getting lost, and then you don't find what you need. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm gonna drop that in the chat. You want to check that out? There you go. But yeah, that's something that I would advise when it comes to finger picking: a strong chording hand and taking things a step back, and then practicing a finger picking pattern on open strings or one chord at first, just to get used to it, and then try switching. Let me find that finger picking video for you. All right, looking for it because I've got a few. Oh my, looking at all these videos. I'm like, "Ah." Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Let's try. Yeah, thanks for waiting. Trying to find it. Oh goodness. I'm trying to find it. I'm sorry. Let's see. I have 146 videos that says finger picking. So let's find the one that works. Ah, here we go. This is called stress-free beginner-friendly finger picking. Ooh, how'd that for a title? Oh, I actually wrote flinger picking. There we go. There it is. Cool. So, hi Tiffany, how's it going? Let's see here. Hi Donna. Yay. Linda, how's it going? Yay! I'm so glad that you're here. So I'm a little late to the party in the chat. I'm trying to catch up here. Sometimes when I get off, go off on a tangent of when it comes to um when I'm elaborating on a question, sometimes I just get focused and I get tunnel vision. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, Linda, thank you. Oh my gosh. I love it. Victory. Thank you so much, Linda, for the super chat. Oh my gosh, thank you. I appreciate it so much. Oh, it's such a sweet woman. Thank you. Oh man, let's see here. What about the F chord in the guitar where you're supposed to mute the top and the bottom strings? Okay. Here we go. Now, a couple of options. Now, the chord diagram says yes, to mute the A string and you mute the E string. Actually, my ring finger is pulling double here. My ring finger, it is pressing down on the third fret of the D string, but then the very tip of it is muting the A string. So it's double. It's cuddling that string. So it's not right here, it's boom. And then my thumb is over here curling, muting that E string. Now, here's a little thing. This is an A note, the second fret of your third string, of your G string. That's an A. Here's an A. I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't mute that A string. It's just the lowest note that you're going to hear is not the F root note. It's going to be the A. Technically, that would be an A over an F chord, but it's really not the end of the world. I don't think it's the end of the world. Another thing that you could do, I've seen people do this, where they bring their pinky right here and then their ring finger here, like that, for an F chord, because it's the basis of the F bar chord. Yeah, okay, so that's something you can do. For me, there's also the grace-based thing right there. It's like, yeah, the correct way is to mute those both of those strings. If you play that open A string, is it really the end of the world? I mean, are the guitar police gonna come and arrest us? They're gonna come and give us a fine, like, "You just played that F chord with an open A. That's technically an A over an F. An F over an A." I'm like, "Yeah, and?" So, that's just my personal opinion. Oh, yay. Well, I'm glad that it helps. Alright, let's see here. Um Let's see here. Is there any other questions? Oh, thank you, Linda. How did I get the idea for One Music School? Actually, this whole thing was my husband's idea. I was teaching private lessons at a place called Hyde Music. Shout out to Hyde Music in Appleton, Wisconsin. They are a fabulous store. They sell every type of instrument imaginable and lots of gear. And they also have teaching studios above the store. And I had a teaching studio above Hyde Music for 10 years, and I miss it. Um, but I was teaching in a public school, um, and then teaching music lessons on the side after school. And the studio got to be so big that I was actually able to resign from teaching in public schools and then just try to move to teaching music as full time as I possibly could, because we wanted to start a family and thought the flexibility would be more so. Um, it would be more flexible if I were able to teach music lessons and dictate my own schedule. So that was the plan. And I had a guitar subscription website called KTD Music, which is no longer available. It's been taken down. We took it down because it was old. And my husband looked at the model and he's like, you know what? You've really maxed out your schedule as a music teacher. Really, no other slots to fill. He's like, the logical thing to do is to go online, to go on YouTube. And I thought, that's terrifying. I don't wanna do that because all I saw was the negativity online. I mean, you see a lot of negative comments and people being very, very cruel and mean to each other, and I'm like, "I want no part of that." And also, to be perfectly honest, I was just scared, to put myself out there, because if you don't put yourself out there, then nobody can criticize you. Well, um, he did not let go of the idea of the channel, and, I remember sitting in front of the camera, and because he was doing all the filming and he was gonna do all the editing because that's what he does for, a living. He edits video, and I sat in front of this camera, had no idea who I was talking to, and I'm like, "You know what? I'll just choose, Can't Help Falling in Love with You." That sounds like a good song. I was about 7 months pregnant, sitting in this chair. I was super uncomfortable. It took me like an hour and a half to film like a 6-minute video, trying to all of these different takes. It was exhausting. I was frustrated, and I'm like, no one's gonna see this. No one's gonna care. Whatever. I'm just gonna prove him wrong that this video is just gonna disappear in the internet like all like thousands of other videos. Well, he uploaded it. He started the channel, uploaded it, and it started gaining traction. And then I filmed some guitar videos too. And it was like every other week was guitar, ukulele, and the channel started gaining traction. And I'm like, what is happening? I was really scared at first because, yeah, I mean, like I said before, I was just really self conscious. I didn't know who I was talking to. I didn't know what I was teaching or like who I was teaching, who I was talking to, until started seeing the comments in the comments section. And I was actually scared to see what people would say because all I saw were negative comments on other people's channels, from what the YouTube that I watched. And I was very surprised by the response, just how positive it was. I was surprised that people were like, wow, this helped me a lot. This helped me out so much. Are you going to be uploading more? And then pretty soon I just started to see like, wow, there's people that this is helping. This is this is inspiring. This is fun. And then my husband's business, he was working on pivoting. His business started to take off, which is awesome. But that meant he didn't have time to work on the YouTube channel anymore. And so I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? I feel like this is something that I'm supposed to do. I want to see how far I can take it. And he said, well, I can't help you. I don't have time to do that, but I'll help you set up the lights. I'll teach you how to turn the camera on. And then he's like, I can't teach you how to edit. So here's some videos to look at how to edit. And then let's just give it a try. And I learned how to edit as I went. I learned how to make graphics. I learned how to do the split screen and things like that. And each video, I tried to get a little better each time. And pretty soon I was able to go from making just like one video every other week to maybe one video a week. And then I just got really excited and I started making lots of videos and it just became something super fun and a side thing. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, but at the same time, like when my channel first started, I had my daughter was let's see here. The first video was uploaded when she was 8 months old, 7 months old, 8 months old. And I didn't start taking over the channel until she was about a year. And then also I was working as full-time as I possibly could as a music teacher. So I was burning the candle on both ends, so to speak. And then came my second daughter. My second daughter was born 2 days after lockdown and COVID. And then shortly thereafter found out I was pregnant with baby number 3. And so it's been a journey of just trying to maintain and be consistent here, but then also make sure that I have a healthy balance of making sure that I'm giving my time, attention, and treasure to my family. So yeah, that's kind of like the rundown of the channel, and I just come on here whenever I can. So yeah, well, hey Melanie, thanks for joining us. You are loved too. Yeah. So yeah, that's the story behind the channel, and it's still a work in progress, and I'm still trying, my best to um, create content, and it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been a wild journey. Like never in a million years did I think that this would ever be this. I just see it as a gift from God. So want to be faithful with it. Yay. Oh, thank you, Luke. Thank you. I try. I try. It's like somebody asked me, it's like, do you consider yourself a full-time content creator? And I'm just thinking about, being a mom of 3. It's very difficult so I in my mind, I had to say, okay, I can do this part-time and be okay with that and do the best that I can with the time that I have and try to work smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? So that I'm able to be a mom. So I'm just really grateful for it. I do miss teaching in person a lot. I do have online teaching that I do on Thursdays. And so I do have some private lesson students that I'm able to work with online. And that's been really fun. And just seeing if I can open up my in-person studio again, but time will tell because I have a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, and now 8-year-old. They keep me very busy. They're fun. Super fun. Oh, I'm so glad that it's inspiring. Thank you, Donna. I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. You all inspire me. So I'm just really grateful. Really, really grateful for your support, you being here. It means a lot. The fact that you're here, the fact that I see so many people on Patreon that are here. And it really just, it means a lot to me. Never in a million years did I think I'd ever be here. And so I'm just grateful for every single thing. Yeah. Well, if I don't have any other questions, I am oh, good night, Linda. I love you. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, if I don't have any other questions for the live chat, I'm gonna end it. I guess I've been here for an hour. That went by really quickly. I told myself, "I'm only gonna do this for half an hour, and then I'm gonna go to bed." And 1 hour later, 2 hours later. I appreciate how patient you are when you're making your videos. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Um, I'm it's wonderful to be able to interact with you and just to know that the videos are resonating with you and that this style is helping you. That does mean the world to me. So I'm grateful for that. Grateful for you. Yes. Love you so much. Um, oh, you love the clips of recording Katie versus editing Katie. LOL. It's real life. It's just real life. That's it. We can't always get it right all the time, right? We can't. We're human beings. So I'm glad that you appreciate my humanness. Oh, good. I'm glad that helped with the buzzing. If all that is not for me, I need to take it to the shop. Yeah, yeah. I the string buzzing video I have coming out soon goes really in depth on thumb position and finger position and troubleshooting and it's a lot of it. I did mention some here, but it's just sometimes it's nice to have another video to reference with examples and give it a try. All right. Well, bloopers are the best. I should add more of those in there. Should I? Should I do that? Hmm. Take care. You were the first video I watched when I wanted to learn ukulele. Please keep going. Wow. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you. So, wow. I'm just so overwhelmed by just all of your love and grateful for it. Okay. All right. It makes you real. Well, there's plenty of bloopers for this one right here. Lots of realness coming out. All right. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me on this live. Let me know if you have any other questions, if you want me to go live more often. I think this was really fun. All right. Remember, you are loved. Bye.